Coming up this week, off screen.
Hellboy faces his demons.
Marseille Martin gets a little.
Jonah Hill takes us to the mid-90s.
Sam Elliott is the man who killed Hitler, and then the Bigfoot.
We get a pass to Wonder Park.
And make a deal with the universe.
All those to come and more, off screen.
This is Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off Screen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
Welcome to Off Screen, I'm Dan Connor.
I'm Kelly Needham.
Welcome back, Ms. Needham.
Aren't you lucky?
I've missed you. I obviously I love doing this with Case.
No, you don't.
I enjoy doing it with John as well. And, no, I don't. I know. But it's always nice to have you back. So, cinematic fun to be had. We've got to talk about a bunch of movies. We've got to talk about the return of one of my favourite fictional characters. So,
is it Danger Mouse?
It is not Danger Mouse, although Danger Mouse is voiced now by John Oliver, who is in a movie we're reviewing this week. So
it all comes full circle.
It's Marvel, hashtag it's all connected. There you go.
Yes!
No, the Marvel stuff will save for like a fortnight, but...
Why? What's happening then?
There's some indie film out like a fortnight. Marvel are really big on it.
Never gets old.
Exactly. So, before we get to box office top 5, film reviews, film news, we need, of course, a cherry on top. We need a good piece of film news to start with. So, what do you got for me this week? What do you got?
I think we need to talk about Hellboy. Now, I know we're going to talk about Hellboy.
We are.
But Hellboy's in the news.
Yes, Hellboy is. Right, can I just give you the backstory on Hellboy?
Please.
Right, not the backstory of the character, because we've had 2 versions of that now.
We have.
3 versions if you count the comics. By the way, the scene where Hellboy is born into the world, they have literally repeated that in the new movie. And you sit and think, this is becoming Superman's origin story again. Like, I'm sick of seeing Krypton. I'm sick of seeing Uncle Ben die. You know, I'm sick of seeing...
I was going to say, just do Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, do the Homecoming thing.
Just skip it.
He's dead. It's fine. It happened.
It's fine.
Yeah, we don't
dead,
need it.
All right?
You know? But, so... Hellboy, as a film, has been brought to us. It's come out in cinemas today. We're recording this on Thursday, the 11th of April.
Yep.
Right, it opens in cinemas today. Mm-hmm. Now, that's odd anyway that it's not a Friday. Now, the reason you typically open a film ahead of a Friday is because you don't think the opening weekend numbers will be that good. And anything you earn in previews counts to the opening weekend.
Got it. So it's a cheat.
So it's a bit of a cheat. So when a movie opens on a Monday, you know that's why. It's not for any other reason than not being altruistic. It's just, Can never explain why Marvel movies open on a Thursday, though. Don't know that one.
But isn't it normally like a midnight screen, though?
It's usually midnight Wednesday.
Oh, is it?
Thursday morning. Like Avengers is this time. You're like, why did you not think this was going to
Because they're going for them records, yo.
Did you not think this was already going to make all the money? Anyway, so Hellboy's in cinemas on Thursday. Always, shady sign right there.
Yeah.
And there was one screening of it, which I didn't go to. Mm-hmm. Right, there was one screening of it. It was in a 48-seat screen in Soho House. And the buzz amongst friends of mine who are film critics was not good.
Oh.
I mean,
shocker.
I will say that, to be honest, my social circle of film critics generally think that Mike Mignola is a movie that Tom Cruise got an Oscar nomination for. I don't think they really get this stuff. I had to explain who Justin Timberlake was to a bunch of them when we saw Popstar a couple of years ago.
But they make us feel young, Van.
They really do. So it's not gone down well, and I would argue you've really not got the best crowd there for that.
It wasn't made for you.
Yeah. So, Hellboy has been treated rather like it has something of an odour to it. It was embargoed pretty much up until the last minute, to a degree that I would describe as directly comparable to Fantastic Four a few years ago.
Oh, and I wonder why that happened.
Yeah, imagine that. Anyway. So, this also doesn't help that it comes on the back of a trailer that made the film look like its own Netflix spin-off.
Yeah.
Like, when you saw that trailer, did you not think, is this the Netflix series? What the hell is this?
Yeah, kind of did.
It's kind of camp, and, like, the trailer is a lot camper than the film is, which is very weird.
That's interesting choice.
And And I'll not bury the lead on this one. This new Hellboy is to Del Toro's Hellboy what The Defenders is to the Avengers.
Ooh.
So use that.
Don't hold back.
Yeah, use that as your benchmark. I'm not saying it's bad. In fact, I'm probably going to say something quite the opposite in 5 minutes or whatever. But it's not going well. It doesn't look well, and it's not been reviewed well. Now, on the back of it not being reviewed well, this news that you're about to impart upon us has come to light. So please fill me in.
Well, you always know the details far better than I do, but it sounds like the reason that it's not so good, which I don't know whether this is just an excuse, because they always find something.
Don't they?
Is because of arguments between, is it the producers in the background?
There are 16 producers on Hellboy.
Well, there's a lot to produce.
Apparently, 2 of them have been quite problematic. I know Lawrence Gordon is one of them because he's involved in a lot of comic book movies, and he also worked on the first 2 Hellboy movies as well, the Del Toro ones.
Okay.
Now, he's a Watchmen guy. Like, he's currently working on the Watchmen series for HBO.
Right.
And it's him and a guy named Levin.
A higher brow of comic book hero.
Yes, the blue swinging dong of comic book heroes. But yeah, apparently they and David Harbour, who plays Hellboy, and Neil Marshall, the director, have had something of, I don't want to use the actual term I normally would, but they have each been flexing their muscles.
Something of a big swinging blue dong.
Yeah, exactly. So what has actually happened is they have flexed their muscles and tried to assert authority over Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall is not a Hollywood guy. Right, Neil Marshall is a British filmmaker who has made his bones over the last, I think, 18 years now, basically doing John Carpenter movies, but British. So, Dog Soldiers, The Descent, Doomsday, and these are all pretty good movies. I mean, I don't rate The Descent. I think The Descent is really overrated. I have all the time in the world for Doomsday. And by God, do you see a lot of Doomsday in Hellboy. But, so he has this whole John Carpenter thing going for him. David Harbour obviously is quite a passionate actor, and now that he has the clout of Stranger Things,
yes,
he obviously gets to assert some of that, and it seems that has not gone down well. What they have done is basically cut the legs out from under Neil Marshall at every turn.
Poor Neil Marshall.
I know! And bear in mind, Neil Marshall directed the Battle of Blackwater Bay. So Game of Thrones, this guy gave us its best moments.
Well, clearly he can't be trusted with something as precious as Hellboy.
Yeah, dude literally wheeled out the Battle of Blackwater Bay, but he can't be trusted with your Mike Mignola adaptation. No, God forbid. Apparently they've sacked his cinematographer, Sam Cundy. They sacked him. He's his go-to.
Oh, wow.
You know, a lot of directors have that cinematographer they like to work with.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan, used to love Wally Pfister, and now has the guy whose name I can never remember, but it's like the same name 3 times, like Lars von Lars. Like
I really hope that's his name.
I'm gonna find out. Actually,
Lars.
But but this is the thing. They sacked his cinematographer when he submitted his completed film. They took it away from him because apparently they never promised him final cut. So
it's one of those.
Yeah.
Well, we never said that you'd get the final.
No, we never said that. So.
We may have implied it. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I think there's been a miscommunication because one of those, that old chestnut. I'm on the page for Interstellar, by the way, on IMDb, so I'm going to find out. Is it
Lars von Lars?
Hoyt van Hoytema. That is Christopher Nolan's new cinematographer. Hoyt van Hoytema.
You were shockingly close.
I was quite close, wasn't I? For an off-the-cuff guess, that wasn't bad. Lars von Lars was not bad. That was quite close to Hoyt van Hoytema. But, yeah. So, they sacked his guy. It's like one of those things. It's like, someone takes over this show and like sacks you. And it's one of those things. You like to work with who you like to work with because you have a pat down, you have a shorthand, you know how these people work, and
you trust them as well. That's a big thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, nobody, Denis Villeneuve knows, for instance, like how Roger Deakins works as a cinematographer. Yeah. That's why he keeps hiring, and that's why those movies are awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. A bit overlong, but awesome.
Yeah.
2 Dune movies coming up. Anyway, by the way, speaking of, a friend of mine is going to star in Doom Annihilation. The Doom video games.
Oh.
A friend of mine is going to be in one.
In a video game?
In the movie. They're making they've made a movie out of Doom again. And
I'm somewhat less impressed by that, but still.
My friend
cool.
Cassidy Little, one-legged military veteran. And
the character?
I don't know the character, but if he doesn't get his leg blown off, I'm going to be very disappointed. But and by the way, that's a joke he himself will love, so that's fine. Anyway, so Hellboy's apparently a mess because of #producers. But yeah,
I'm sure that's the reason why.
Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Hellboy is actually going to be the first film we review.
It is.
Right, so let's talk really quickly. Podcast edition, extra reviews, extra news, Acast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, get on there. Meanwhile, Hellboy, we got to talk Hellboy.
Yeah, so let's actually get into the film.
So it's been 15 years, they've rebooted Hellboy.
Has it been that long?
It's been 15 years since Hellboy.
When did Hellboy 2 come out?
2008.
What?
Because the premiere was on July 31st, 2008. I know, because that's my birthday. I was there.
Happy birthday, Van.
Met John Hurt. It was awesome. Sorry, met the late John Hurt, and I love him forever because of it. Anyway, Hellboy's back. Mm-hmm. It's the same basic setup. He's, the demon spawn who is, raised by Nazis, summoned by Nazis at the tail end of World War II. He's
got a big hand.
Got a big red right hand of doom, as it's called. He's taken in by Professor Brutenholm/Broom, played now by Ian McShane. And Hellboy himself grows up to become David Harbour, a.k.a. Sheriff Hopper from Stranger Things, as he will always be called for the rest of his career now.
He will.
Now, the mission this time is, because he obviously works for the BPRD, the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defence. He's basically the SWAT team against supernatural, threats. The threat this time is the Blood Queen, played by Milla Jovovich.
Oh.
Yes, who is one of the... You ever see that Buffy episode where Angel turned evil? And the villain was like carved up into boxes, like his individual parts were different boxes, and they spread across the globe. Same thing, Milla Jovovich, back in King Arthur times, was carved up into little pieces, put into boxes, and sent around the world by the Knights of the Round Table.
Learn to burn a body part, people.
Didn't work. She's basically unkillable. The only way to stop her is to carve her up and separate her.
Keep her apart.
However, there is a giant pig monster voiced by Stephen Graham.
A pig monster?
There's literally a man-pig. A man-bear pig. There's a man-bear pig. There's a man-bear pig voiced by Stephen Graham.
Yeah.
So done with a Scouse accent.
Nice.
Right, who has reassembled her. She's going to take over the world. Here's a clip.
Why'd you bring me back anyway? Don't tell me it's because you miss me.
Do you recall the Osiris Club?
Oh, yeah, strip joint in Jersey.
Now, the other one, the British Occult Society, formed in 1866 by the ranking members of the Heliopic Brotherhood of Ra.
Ra? I met Ra once in the underworld. He's a close talker.
Well, like us, they fight against the forces of darkness, and our organizations have a long-standing relationship. They're old friends of mine, and they've requested your assistance with a giant problem.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Giants.
Right, there is very obviously a specific tone to this. Now, if you heard David Harbour in that clip...
Who sounds like he's doing his best John Goodman impression.
Kind of does, doesn't he? Yeah.
I maintain
like,
that.
credit to him, he's not doing Ron Perlman.
No, he's not.
And this movie does illustrate exactly how fortunate a casting that was. Like, Ron Perlman just happens to look like Hellboy.
He does.
It's the weirdest thing. Like, very little makeup. It's like casting Benicio del Toro as the Wolfman. Why bother using makeup effects? Like, just put some extra hair on him and call it a day. Just paint Ron Perlman red. David Harbour obviously has to rely on the physicality of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now, the film is not good. I have to say that. The film is not good.
All
the
right,
film
get out,
is a mess. It really is. The dialogue is terrible. It's been written by a chimp, it would seem. There's literally a moment in this in which we watch stuff happen and then we cut to Ian McShane and he tells us what just happened. Oh, there's a 5th century evil wizard witch in the world who's unleashing a plague and she's going to kill us all and we have to stop her. I'm like, yeah, cheers for that, Ian. I kind of knew that. We just watched it happen. Daniel Day Kim, who, bear in mind, was only cast in this movie because the first guy they cast happened to be the wrong colour and race, is awful. So we had that whole race-bending controversy where Ed Skrein got cast as... Ed Skrein got cast as, I think his name's Daimio, or Daimio. He's a member of the BPRD who I think the film intends to leave his circumstances as something of a reveal.
Okay.
But it's out there. You can find this out pretty easily. But there's something to him, and it's a bit obvious, but yeah. Anyway, They try to be coy about it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. Daniel Day Kim also does not work. So after all of this, where, white guy cast as a Japanese character, he bowed out himself voluntarily. Good on him, I say. He was very good about it. He was very gracious about, look, I
shouldn't have accepted it in the first place.
He didn't know.
I'm not having that anymore.
Look, I've never read a Hellboy comic in my life.
Yeah, but do some research before you accept a role, dude.
Well, wouldn't you do that after you took the role?
Well, no, because surely you'd want to see, well, what is this thing all about? Am I even interested? Could I play this?
Look, let's be honest.
Lazy.
This character's going to, this particular role's going to have been paid like $500,000 to $750,000, say. For this low-budget movie. If you offer me that amount of money, I'll do the research after I say yes. It's like, you want to be in a Hellboy movie? We'll give you some bang for your buck. I'm like, cool. Yeah, bring it on. I would have looked into it after. And also, the name is fairly non-specific as well.
That I'll give you.
However, Daniel Day Kim is goddamn terrible in this.
Well...
Now, the weird thing is, they cast Ed Skrein as a Japanese-American character. Mm-hmm. Why? Doesn't make a whole heap of sense.
As a white British male, you mean?
Until you then notice that most of the film is set in London. So you're like, oh, okay, so the character now has been repurposed as British.
Right.
So, we will now hire a Korean to play our Japanese-American character.
Sure.
To which, apparently that's fine because optics.
Not enough people in Japan, clearly, to find an actor.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, he's terrible. Can't do the accent to save his life. Sasha Lane from American Honey is playing what was originally a red-haired Irish character.
Oh.
So, nobody had an issue with that, but it's about as terrible. And she is equally terrible in this. They are so bad in this that they genuinely make Mila Jovovich, who also sucks, look like Oscar-caliber territory.
I'm liking the sound of this, I'm not going to lie.
However, David Harbour and Ian McShane, they're having the time of their lives. And
good on them.
As I've said to you, what is Hellboy but that moment from Indiana Jones with the sword-slaying, evil warrior that Indy just pulls the gun out and shoots? That is literally Hellboy as a character.
Yeah.
Ian McShane and David Harbour are very aware of this. Neil Marshall, the director, is very aware of this. They have gone for that. The script's garbage. It's been hacked to buggery. Well, it doesn't work. It is excessively gory in all the most fun ways.
Excellent.
I had a great time with it because you know what? It tries to have some fun. In that way that Neil Marshall movies always do. They know their crap.
Yeah.
But, they're fun about it. No one is looking at Dog Soldiers and saying, this is our best picture nominee for this. No one's doing that. You know what I mean? Nobody is looking at Centurion or Doomsday and going, this is what we put up for Golden Globes. It's a Neil Marshall movie.
And it's Hellboy.
It's Hellboy. I mean, it's arguably I preferred it to the first Hellboy movie, if you want the honest truth.
Wow.
I don't think it's as good as Golden Army. I think Golden Army is an amazing movie. This is not as good as that, but I had fun with it. It's a mess, but to be fair, it's a Hellboy movie. I've read Hellboy books for 30 years. They are like this. All right, they're not quite as expository. And I will say that you automatically get an extra star from me just for pulling off what's basically the first line of dialogue of this movie, which I cannot legally repeat on radio.
Ooh,
Ian McShane does a voiceover. You know that old Anthony Hopkins in Thor thing? Long ago, in the time of blah-de-blah, when the bleep bloops invaded the la-di-dars. That.
The Lars von Lars.
The Lars von Lars. Yeah, Ian McShane does that at the beginning of this movie with one line that I'm sorry, I was in at that point. He just puts a PS on the end of his first line of dialogue in this movie. It's a terrible movie, but that line he puts on sets the tone brilliantly. The film is garbage. It is an absolute dumpster fire of a film. It is up there. It reminded me of John Carpenter's Vampires.
Nice.
You ever see that with James Woods? Jack Crow. That one. I actually want to rewatch Vampires now.
Right.
And it's fitting because Neil Marshall has always wanted to be John Carpenter, so why are we terribly shocked that he has now wheeled out John Carpenter's Vampires? Incidentally, yes, the first actual threat in this movie is a vampire by coincidence. But it's a Hellboy movie. It looks like its own Netflix spin-off. It plays like its own Netflix spin-off, but it has a bloody good time getting there, to be fair. And I thought it was trash. I thought it was garbage. But you know what? I'm going to see it again. I'm going to see it again because I loved it.
Well, take me next time.
I will take you. And you know what? You'll have a great time. There's a movie coming out next week that's a lot like this, which is a Neil Jordan film rather than a Neil Marshall film. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was great fun. But it is garbage. I'm very aware that it's garbage. And the film seems to be aware that it's garbage.
But that's when they're better films, when they're aware of how bad they are.
How good would the pirate sequels have been if they'd done that?
Exactly.
Huh?
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back, Ms. Needham. So, shall we take a little journey?
Please. Where can we go?
Should we go to Wonder Park?
Yes, please.
Right. I thought this was going to be terrible. I'll be really honest.
I have to say, I've seen the trailer.
It looks terrible, doesn't it?
And it looks horrific.
It does look horrific. Right. It's fine. Perfectly fine. It really is. I walked into this thinking, why has John Oliver done this? Like, John Oliver is not a paycheck guy. You know, John Oliver is a god of topical news comedy.
He's ethical.
You know, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not a guy that takes a gig just for the money. He usually takes it for creative worth.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the things he's done, and that absolutely tracks.
Yeah.
But he is in this, and it's a story of a young girl whose mother. The film's a little bit shady about this because at different times they imply different things.
Okay.
Right.
And it's animated.
It's
right?
an animated film. It's animated to about the standard of Despicable Me. Right, it's one of those sort of no-name animation studios, but it's animated to sort of that Despicable Me level.
Okay.
You know, where is it garbage or is it quirky and unique? You know, that sort of middle ground in between where we can't decide if it's garbage or quirky or unique. It's that level. Mm-hmm. Right, it's not Sammy a Turtle's Tail, put it that way. Or was it The Reef? Or
yes, The Reef that was like Shark's Tale. But it wasn't.
Well, remember, even Shark's Tale was quite poorly animated.
Well, there you go. That's
was Shark's Tale the one where they did Car Wash with Christina Aguilera?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, God, that movie sucked. That was the mobster movie for kids.
The mobster movie. Where Jack Black was like the mobster's son as a shark.
Yeah. Well, let's do a Scorsese cameo in a children's film. That'll go down well because of all those kids who love Martin Scorsese. You know? It was on like Channel 5 one Sunday afternoon recently. I was like, how does this exist?
Because of the money. Anyway, Wonder Park.
Wonder Park. So, young girl, suburban home, you know, white picket fence. She's big into magic and staging shows for the local kids.
Not the card game, though.
No, thankfully not. And we saved that for your better half. But anyway.
Hi, John.
Also, Kerbo's really into that as well. Magic the Gathering. Anyway. So she puts on like magic shows and things. And she has invented, with her mum, who she's very close to. She's the only child, like close to her mum, who is voiced by... is it Jessica? Oh, not Jessica, but Jennifer Garner.
Oh, okay.
The mum's voiced by Jennifer Garner. The daddy's voiced by Matthew Broderick.
Oh, nice.
She's invented a fictional amusement park, you know, like we've all done.
Yeah.
In our heads. Where if I had an amusement park, the Ferris wheel would run up and down a mountain. Literally that. Sure. She's invented it, and one day she goes on a school trip as a sort of therapy for herself and her dad, because her mum has cancer and she's gone away to a hospital for treatment, like far away.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and the film gets very dark and vague about that. So at different times, they do behave as if she's died.
Okay.
And it's very strange. They can't seem to make their mind up about it. She goes away on a school trip with her friend, and she gets lost in the forest, and she finds that, oh my God, the park I've invented in my imagination, Wonderland, which the film was originally called, before for some reason they changed it to Wonder Park.
So it's still called Wonderland in the film?
Yep.
Okay.
Can't explain it, don't ask. This park exists. And all of the fictional talking animals that she's invented for this park also exist.
What?
Yeah. So Boomer, a giant, cuddly, grizzly bear who's blue, is played by that dude who was the fat guy getting tattooed in Armageddon. Another one.
Yeah.
And then you've got a porcupine named Steve, voiced by John Oliver.
Nice.
You've got a warthog, voiced by Mila Kunis, because talk about reverse casting. And you've got two little gophers, who, in the US, one of them's voiced by Keenan. Kel. Is it Kel? Who? Keenan or Kel? I can't remember.
They're not fat.
The fat guy.
That's Keenan.
That's Keenan. Okay, he's not really fat, is he, anymore? But
no, but
the one you always thought of as the fat one.
Exactly.
Yeah, the actually talented one.
Yes.
The longest serving cast member in
the
history.
one that's on
Saturday Night.
SNL.
Yes, thank you. So, which one did you say, Keenan or Kel?
Keenan.
Right, so it's Keenan in the US is one of these gophers. In the UK, it's two YouTubers.
Oh, man. No, and...
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so she's in the park. It turns out that the park is dealing with a sort of otherworldly force that they refer to as the darkness that seems to have descended upon them and is consuming the park bit by bit in the form of small zombie-like minions. Here's a clip.
We can't keep up!
Boomer the welcome bear?
Run for your life!
Hey, Trevor! Get moving, Pipsqueak! What's going on? Why are we chasing Boomer?
Oh, we're not chasing him. They're chasing us.
Gus, gnaw that awning down.
I'm on it.
Cooper, start the pump.
Yep.
Steve,
I'll draft up an exit plan.
you're the bait.
Yeah, of course I am. Baiting away.
Boomer, you protect her with your life. Hey, Boomer, what is going on around here?
What does it look like? Pan zombies. Over here. Dinner is served.
So you get a nice bit of the John Oliver shtick in there, and it works. And they, the actors are committing to the part. Incidentally, you'll notice that in our clip, that is the voice of Keenan and/or Kel.
Why do they do this? I don't get it.
no
It's like
idea.
in one of the Shreks where Jonathan Ross turns up, his voice in one of the Ugly Sisters. Do you remember that?
I remember.
What?
Jeremy Clarkson turns up in Cars as well. If you remember, in the
Oh,
UK,
yes.
in the UK only version of Cars, Jeremy Clarkson turns up.
Just stop doing it.
Do you know who played that same role in the American version? By the way, Jeremy Piven.
Oh, because no one's ever heard of him.
Yeah, no one's ever heard of Mr.
Whereas
Selfridge.
children watching Cars are like, oh, of course, it's Jeremy Clarkson. Jeez.
Anyway, they actually don't list the British YouTubers on IMDb. They only list Keenan Thompson and whoever the other one was, I forget. But might have been Ken Jeong, actually. I think it was Ken Jeong.
Oh, man.
I know. So yeah, we got denied that for two YouTubers who Paramount are just friendly with. I don't know. And they're nothing voices. They do
That's
just feel
almost as
like-
dark as this film sounds.
Yeah. Right, to be fair to the film, it's not bad at all. Like I watched it, I was perfect, I had a perfectly good time. It reminded me, in fact, on the scale, on the enjoyment scale, like
Yeah.
Hellboy ranks with like John Carpenter's Vampires.
Sure.
This ranks with, I would say, Over the Hedge.
Oh, no.
Which is,
Ooh.
that's fine. I mean, I didn't dislike Over the Hedge. I thought Over the Hedge was perfectly fine.
Yeah, kids will like it.
Yeah, kids will like it, but they're going to be younger kids.
Yeah.
And, mum and dad will check their phones. You know what I mean? It is one of those. Mum and
Not
dad
in my
will check
cinema
their
screen.
phones. Hopefully not. We'll talk about that in the podcast,
We
actually.
will.
But I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it is what it is. It's, it's a cheap and cheerful animated adventure. It works. It has nice things to say.
The kids are off school.
Yeah, the moral
the
of it
cinema.
was, that's why it opened on a Monday in the
Exactly.
middle of the northern Easter holiday.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought it was kind of cute. It
All right.
worked. It worked. And also, of course, John Oliver's the MVP of this.
Well, obviously.
Why would he not be? I mean, he's a porcupine named Steve. Come on! John Oliver. You can get me into literally any movie. If you tell me Aquaman 2 is going to star John Oliver as a porcupine named Steve,
You're in.
you got my money. You know what I mean? I have no interest in Aquaman 2, but you got my money if you do that. But, so, it's fine. Just, if you're a parent, take a pillow. If you're a kid, brace yourself for a good time. The end,
Does what it says on the tin.
Does what it says on the tin. Exactly. So, top 5 time?
Let's do it.
Number 5.
It's Peppa Pig, the Festival of Fun.
So, which, of course, is more notable now for having horror trailers played before it than actually being a film.
You gotta. It's like you've got to build up the immunity of kids to films these days. They're not exposed to enough anyway.
We're going to inoculate you against gore. Here's Octavia Spencer messing with some teens. and it's a hard trailer, that one as well.
It is, that.
Like, that's not messing
What's
around.
that called again? Something weird like
Ma.
Ma.
It's
that's
Ma.
it.
They played Ma and Brightburn, apparently.
Nice.
Was it The View in Ipswich, I think? Or something like that? It was in Ipswich, I remember that much. I can't remember which chain it was, but it's not the first time it's happened. But, neither of us obviously have seen Peppa Pig, so, on to the next one.
Shall we?
Number 4.
Is Captain Marvel.
Which I like more in hindsight, I think, than I
Yeah.
did when I saw it, to be really
Yeah,
honest.
I liked it.
Did you think it lacked weight?
I think it does. I think if you take it on face value, it's one of the more dull
Marvel
movies. And it kind of sits with Ant-Man where it's kind of on its own in this kind of like, oh, okay.
I actually thought of it in contrast to something like the first Thor movie, where I sat there and thought,
Yeah.
it's fairly lightweight and kind of feels a bit inconsequential, despite the fact that it actually does have things to say.
And she's a huge character that's obviously going to be very important in a couple of weeks' time.
She really is.
But what I will say about it, as a female, it was nice seeing a female superhero who, A, is actually a superhero with, you know, powers, and B, isn't just a sex object.
Well, there was that. I will say that even
She ain't wearing no high heels to be running marathons in.
Even I could not objectify Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, I'm basically a deviant.
You're a perv.
Yeah, but did you know Brie Larson has creative control over her own physical appearance in the Marvel movies?
I'm quite right.
That's a
Good for her.
strange one. I never really, it's not something I considered. Anyway, that's the thing. I do think of it in comparison to that first Thor movie. I just sit there and think like, it's weird that I'm watching this movie thinking, okay, yeah, it's finally the female-driven Marvel movie, but couldn't the Dora Milaje kind of mess her up if they, want to put half an ounce of effort into it? But also, if we want to be really technical, and I do like Captain Marvel, I had a good time. That Stan Lee cameo is one for the ages, also weirdly creates the idea that Kevin Smith exists within the MCU as Kevin Smith.
Oh, so it does.
Yeah. But also, I just sit there and think, your big baller move is something Thor did literally 3 times in a row in 5 seconds in Infinity War. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in Endgame, because if those two don't go full Gimli and who's the elf in Lord of the Rings? Orlando Bloom. Legolas. If they don't go full Gimli and Legolas in Endgame, you know when they're hacking down guys and counting?
Yeah.
It's like 23, 24, If they don't do that after the whole end of Captain Marvel thing, I'm going to be really disappointed. But I had a good time. I'm annoyed about the whole, Sam Jackson ocular development that they've put in there, but that's only because I'm a purist and they promised me better. But I'll watch it again.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I had a good time.
fine.
Kick-ass soundtrack.
And, told Phil's back.
Oh, yeah. It's always nice to see a Coulson,
Phil.
isn't it? You'll be a Coulson soon, won't you?
I will.
Yeah. So, on to the next one.
Number 3.
It's Pet Cemetery with an S.
Which we saw together.
We did.
Have you seen the original one? The 89 version?
So I decided to be really efficient about it, and I skipped watching it, and instead I watched Cinema Sins. So, everything wrong with Pet Cemetery in 16 minutes, and I think I got the gist.
Which with that movie is that's a long list.
There was a lot of sins at the end. I'm not going to.
The movie's fine, isn't it? It's a perfectly tolerable remake. It's obviously been hacked up a bit.
It's more on the crap end than the good end.
But it is middle ground, isn't it?
But it's fine.
Yeah. But, Jason Clarke, who I confess I still think has no mainstream charisma whatsoever.
That's because he's an empty shell.
He kind of is. He does intensity and nuance really well, but not likability and investment.
He's very forgettable.
John Lithgow, though, reason to remake this movie.
Brilliant.
Just
He's
get him in the
very
Fred Gwynne role. We enjoyed him.
We did. And I think, for me, you summed it up. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you said, there's a happy medium between a Netflix... What was it?
There is a middle ground
between
between Crank and a 12-episode Netflix Marvel series.
Yeah, because this thing swings from being slow as hell
to really fast.
Really fast, and you can't really understand what they're saying, and then it's really slow again.
It goes Eddie Redmayne, doesn't it?
It does.
I create life, and I take it away.
Take it away.
It is that. If you're new to the Stephen King game, though, and you're coming to this because you've joined the Stephen King fandom because of it, last year, you're probably going to be fine.
I think you're going to come away thinking, whoa, that thing's dark.
Probably. But, legendarily, that is what even Stephen King thought of Pet Sematary. He wasn't meant to publish this, but it was literally a case of a deadline.
Sure.
But, it's fine. It's nothing amazing, and it certainly ain't no It. But, for better results, see It, Chapter 2, out in 3 months.
Number 2.
It's Dumbo.
Which you saw. We'll talk about it later, but...
We will. I can't give you an opinion. Tune into Podcast Extras to find out why.
We'll get to it, darling. We'll get to it.
What did you think of Dumbo?
Again, fine. It's very restrained for a Tim Burton movie. On a sort of cinematography level, it seems kind of muted as well.
I don't think you would ever know that that's Tim Burton if you were watching it.
Oh, I don't know. If I see Ava Green, Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito in the same space for more than a second, I usually Tim Burton's doing this.
But visually...
No, it's not necessarily a Tim. It doesn't look particularly like a Tim Burton.
It's not very Tim Burton.
No. And that's so weird because I've recently sort of fallen back in love with Tim Burton finally after, 2 decades of him sucking.
Yeah.
But I do not ever need to see a remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Planet of the Apes, or Alice in Wonderland. Stop it, Tim. Stop it. Go back to trying to ruin Superman like you used to do. Anyway, mind you, DC have kind of taken care of that for us, haven't they? But,
yeah, job done.
Yeah, job done. Even Henry Cavill can't be bothered now. But I liked Dumbo. It was fine. It was cute. Dumbo himself is very lovable. I'll kill for him if he asks me.
He is super cute.
He is.
I will give you that. I thought he was creepy when I saw the trailer, but no. Now I'm thinking he's cute.
It just about works. Don't breathe too much into it, because if you go under the surface, you can start to find really dark things in Dumbo, but that's for metatext and for analysts to work on, not us.
Certainly.
It was fine. You know what? It's a live-action Dumbo. What did you expect of it?
Number 1.
It's the magic word, Shazam.
Loved it. Loved it. First DCEU movie I actually end-to-end enjoyed.
Yep.
Really. Zach Levi needs to be in more movies.
But it does also, a bit like Captain Marvel, where it's really out on its own, like an Ant-Man, a Captain Marvel, of First Thor. It's completely isolated from the absolute garbage that is. What are they called? The Avengers that are DC? Justice League. Yeah. And all the better for it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it kind of has to be by virtue of being fun. Because none of those other movies were fun.
They're not fun.
I'm sorry, you can scream about Aquaman to me until you're blue in the face. You ain't ever convincing me that movie was anything other than a garbage
Oh, it was terrible. It was horrific. And also, I could see everything in this film.
Yeah, it was all actually lit up. It was properly shot.
I don't think there was any real dark moments.
Weird thing is, horror director did this.
Oh, yeah.
Who knew? This is like James Gunn doing Guardians of the Galaxy. It made no sense at the time, and then you see the finished product, and you're like, wow. They announced a sequel this week, and my response to that was, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. They just announced a sequel, and not a 6-film cinematic universe, a Freddie Freeman spin-off. Dwayne Johnson's going to be Black Adam, and here's Megan Good as Ms. Marvel or whatever.
Yeah,
I honestly expected that. But
they're holding themselves back and good.
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
I think they're growing as people.
I mean, I'm happy about a sequel.
I'm happy.
MVP has to go to the kid from it. I never know his name. Jack Dylan
Grazer.
That's the one.
My Fred Savage, man.
Yeah.
He is. He's the new Fred Savage.
Yeah, he is.
Have you ever seen Me, Myself and I?
No. Yeah, it's on my list.
I mean, it's fluff, but it's really likeable, engaging fluff. Jack Dylan Grazer is the kid version. Bobby Moynihan is the 40-something version. John Larroquette is the pension age version. And every episode is literally the same person in 3 different time periods. And it's like a comedy.
Nice.
Like a romantic comedy kind of thing. It's brilliant. Like, he tries romancing the same girl 3 different times in his life.
Aww.
And it was really likeable because Jack Dylan Grazer has bona fide charisma.
He does.
You know who doesn't have charisma, strangely?
Who?
Asher Angel.
Yeah.
Who plays the main character in this.
I have to say, my only gripe with Shazam was that I struggled to believe that Asher Angel and Zachary Levi were the same person at times.
Because one of them you were interested in seeing, and the other one you didn't give a toss about when they were on screen.
Yeah, exactly.
For the 5 minutes they were on screen, because
exactly.
God forbid that main character actually gets something in the right way of screen time. But and also, I'm sorry, but they do a big drop at the end of this.
They do.
They do a big drop with a bunch of characters.
Your face was an absolute picture in that moment.
It was, because I'm wholeheartedly in love with someone who was in that moment. And just...
I know, because you whispered their name to me so loudly.
That was ecstasy. That's what that was.
It was.
That was absolute gratification and ecstasy.
It was lovely. It was a wonderful moment.
It was. I've never felt genuine human love during a DC movie, but I did in that moment. So I will just say, co-star of the movie Waist Deep, if you really want to get into it. And if anyone knows that, they're a nerd and they deserve to know it. But and that's this week's Top 5.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
And we're back, Ms. Needham. So, more reviews. Where should we go?
Talk about a very, very long film name.
A very, very long film name. Is it Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb?
It is. How did you know? No. It's The Man Who Killed Hitler and then The Bigfoot.
Can't wait. I've been looking forward to talking about the man who killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot.
And what did he do in the film?
What did he do? Well, funnily enough, he killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot. That is literally the movie.
I like it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, they're not really messing about with that one, are they? So this stars Sam Elliott, it stars Aidan Turner, it stars Larry Miller, a.k.a. the dad from 10 Things I Hate About You. You know, This ain't Dawson and the River Kids sleeping in each other's beds. Him. This is, I'll be really upfront about this. I thought this was actually kind of wonderful. This was a lovely 98-minute film that I was really charmed by. It is the feature directorial debut of Robert Krakowski. He's done a couple shorts, I think, but this is his first film. Right, it's set, I think, in the late 70s. It's quite non-specific, but it seems to be about the late 70s, small-town America, you know, kind of thing. And it stars Sam Elliott as sort of a brooding, you know, retired soldier who just has flashbacks to the dark and depraved things he's had to do for king and country kind of thing. Sure. And at one point, back when he looked like Aidan Turner, which is actually a thing in this, Aidan Turner's the younger version.
So ridiculous.
He killed Hitler. He killed the original Hitler, because it turned out that the reason that Hitler had that haircut and that beard, it was a costume. The moustache and the hair, it was a costume, so they could keep replacing him. So basically, the Nazi Party lost Hitler fairly early on because Sam Elliott killed him back when he was Aidan Turner, and they just kept having stand-ins play the part.
So it's like Cher.
It's kind of, it's basically it's like
Well, Avril Lavigne.
It's like Elton John. We all know Elton John died years ago. That's just an actor, like, because the real Elton John would not have done Kingsman: The Golden Circle anyway.
He should not have.
He should not have. But it's like Alan Frank always tells me. Michael Caine died in 1948, but nobody remembers to tell him. It's one of those things. So that's the thing. He killed Hitler, and he's always lived with a certain level of torment over the lives he took in the war.
Okay.
And then the US government come to him one day and say, "Hey, we've got this wild creature on the loose, and it's spreading a deadly pathogen. It's coming down from Canada into the US. We need you to go and kill it, because you're the guy we know can kill anything. That thing is Bigfoot." Here's a clip.
My grandfather used to tell me stories all about this one soldier. As he got older, the stories got stranger. Some I believed, others I don't know. But it wasn't describing a man.
Wallet, keys.
It was more like something mythic, legendary. You didn't pull any swords from any stones, did you? But you might have done something. Something bigger, maybe.
It is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds on the tin.
Yeah.
It's up there with something like Bubba Hotep. For me. So very much in that wheelhouse, in the Bruce Campbell as, Elvis in a retirement home sort of level of insanity. And yet it is played completely straight as a brilliant character drama. I thought it was great. I really did. It's not going to win over absolutely everyone. I think you have to be mentally in the right place for it. Mm-hmm. But if you're going into a movie called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot, starring Sam Elliott, I mean, you're going to have to psychologically be prepared for a certain film just on that remit alone.
Well, yeah, I'd say so.
And for me, that's really
nuts.
good. Yeah, Robert Krakowski, I think, did a really good job with this. I mean, he's written, he's directed it. I mean, it's certainly a stronger script than it is a film. I can't deny that. I mean,
is it a book, or is this just they wrote this?
They just wrote it. They just, hey, what are we going to do for a movie? Hitler and Bigfoot. Why not?
Why not?
So we're pushed for time. Shall we move straight on to our next film, which is, I believe, Jonah Hill's directorial debut as well?
It's back to an excellent era. Let's talk about the mid-90s.
So it's funny you say that, because actually I went into this like from the beginning on sort of a pop culture level, with the TNT bed sheets and NBA Jam posters and the Nada Surf remix of Pixie's Wave of Mutilation and things like that. It is very rooted in the mid-90s, hence the clever title. But it stars Sonny Soljic as a sort of stand-in for Jonah Hill. So the idea is that Jonah Hill has experienced this point in his life, but not quite the same. And the kid is in abject poverty, for instance, and relative poverty, single parent kind of thing. Right. And the idea is it's sort of a coming of age tale that is generic enough that Jonah Hill has managed to basically transplant it into the mid-90s world of LA skateboarding.
Nice.
But yeah, funnily enough, when you see the kid and Jonah Hill together, they do kind of look like that's what you grow up into, kid. Like, watch out.
Is Jonah Hill in this thing? Or
Not
you just
in it.
mean in general?
Doesn't appear.
Right.
He's the writer, he's the director. This is his baby.
Right.
And, I mean, we shouldn't be terribly surprised that Jonah Hill's actually turned out to be a brilliant filmmaker, because he seems to do this a lot. No one thought he was a good writer either, and it turned out he's really good. So I say, it is the story of Sonny Soljić's character, Stevie, young kid, single-parent family. He has one older brother played by Lucas Hedges.
Nice.
Because if it's a vaguely buzzy awards caliber movie, of course Lucas Hedges is in it.
I don't expect nothing less.
It's just his requirement. I feel like Lucas Hedges' agent calls him up and says, hey, I got a project for you. Oh, is it awards caliber? No? Oh, sod off then. That's how it goes. I feel like that's how Lucas Hedges picks roles. Anyway.
Gotta have a method.
And the idea is that Stevie's kind of a no-friends, outcast type. He's basically any average, 14-year-old kid in 95.
All right.
I mean, 95, I was 12 years old, so I relate hard to this. I'm pretty easy lay.
You were
for the,
47 and you know it.
Yeah, I was only 47 in 1995. But anyway, so the whole thing is that he falls in with... This is that story of the outcast kid who falls in with a new group of friends, and that group of friends teach him about the world and open his eyes and basically make him, help him discover himself, etc. They just happen to be a crop of skateboarders. Now, we haven't got a clip for this, for one specific reason. You cannot find a clip that is not littered with profanity.
Nice.
And I mean that up to and including the name of one of the characters.
Oh, wow.
Which is not one curse, but two.
Oh, well.
So,
In for a
yeah,
penny,
it's
in for a
Bleep Bleep.
pound.
His name is Bleep Bleep.
Lars van Bleep Bleep.
Lars van Bleep Bleep. Yeah, Hoyt van Bleep Bleep. Yeah, that's how it works. So, I will say, I thought this was tremendous. I thought it had a really great sense of volatility and rage and aggression underneath the surface, in the way that, yes, it is a sort of Wonder Years coming of age type tale, but adjusted for cultural inflation. But it does have just an absolute sense of anger boiling under the surface. It's really good. It's arguably quite plotless. You can make that argument with it, that you can very easily watch this, come away and say nothing happened in that movie.
It's just a kid being a kid.
It's a kid being a kid. But you know what? Boyhood exists. So you know what? You can do one with that.
Yeah.
You're going to give that Oscars, you can take this.
Sometimes it works.
And yeah, I thought Sonny Soljić was absolutely tremendous in this. I think it's the best thing I've ever seen Catherine Waterston in.
Oh, wow.
Ever. I do not like Catherine Waterston. I find her something of a blip on the cinematic spectrum, but I thought she was great in this. Lucas Hedges is not so much doing something different as he is expanding his role in Ben is Back. But it's the supporting cast. It's the cast of skateboarders. Now, I don't know the names of these actors. So it's Olan Prenitz, Gio Galicia, Ryder McLaughlin, and Nicole Smith. Particularly Nicole Smith, I thought really, really great casting, really great performances. I fell in love with this film. This won me over hard. Didn't expect an awful lot from it. And in the run-up to seeing it, I've, in my mind, interchanged it a lot with 8th grade.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which is weird, because that's set in the present day and is about a girl. And this is 90s and boy. But it's in that same way...
different.
It's in the way that you would confuse Cameron Post and Boy Erased.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean? Those came around at the same time, deal with similar issues. This is very much the same kind of thing in that, but...
No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits.
That's actually more deliberate. That actually was deliberate. That's because that actually, I think, shares a writer at one stage.
Did it?
That did.
That's
that
even more shameful.
I'll tell you a worse story about screenplay theft in the podcast extras, if you like.
Tune in.
And it's coming to National Geographic in the next few weeks.
Oh.
And involves Ridley Scott.
I'm intrigued.
But yeah, so mid-90s is absolutely worth checking out. I thought this was tremendous. It is an A24 film. So, A24 make a very distinct style of horror film usually. Things like It Follows.
Yes.
Like that. They've purchased this, and they purchased this after the fact. It does feel like it belongs in the wheelhouse of A24.
Okay.
But I really like the style that Jonah Hill's applied to it. I like his insight, his visual, and the way that he has tackled this particular story. I think the avenues it goes down, the stuff in there that just had me howling with laughter. I was sat in the back row of a screen in Soho screening rooms, and I was sat next to, I think, Tim Roby and Ed Potton. And so we and the three of us, I think we're relatively of about equal age. And we just sat there, just laughing our asses off at some of the stuff in this, and just like fist to the mouth, ooh, kind of moments. And we became TSMFA from Get Out. You know, we became that character. TSA, that character. Like as we're watching this, it was a great experience. I know, obviously, for the reasons, obviously, that I was kind of a similar age at that point.
Yeah.
Again, like I say, I'm an easy lay for that. I accept that, but I think the film is great. I think the film is really solid, and actually, the skateboarding element of it and the way that it structures a sort of a brotherhood coming of age tale did, for me, take away a lot of the bad aftertaste of Minding the Gap that was out a few weeks ago, which was the documentary skateboarding thing that wound up sort of admonishing the dude who clearly smacked his girlfriend around and was a sociopath.
Yeah.
But that one, that one that got nominated for an Oscar, that one, while this got ignored. Just a reminder, Oscars ain't everything. But, what are you going to do?
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the Movie Marker radio show and podcast.
One last ride, Ms. Needham.
Let's make it a good one.
Oh my God, I'm going to call you Mrs. Coulson, aren't I, in a month's time?
You are. That's true.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I can adjust. I'm flexible. Anyway, so one last film for the week.
Tell me about, and I hate the title of this film, I don't know why, but tell me about Little.
Right, it's called Little for a specific reason, because I think
it's like big?
No, I think actually, from the impression I get from the film, I think it is actually a part of African-American vernacular that you grown and you little is something that comes up a lot within the film.
Is it like on one of the recent Queer Eye episodes where there's the two adorable sisters who have the barbecue joint and their nicknames are Shorty and Little?
Like that. Kind of like that. So the idea is, this begins, stop me if you've heard this one before, because I think we've all seen Central Intelligence at this point. A teenager being, in a period setting, being like tormented at school and grows up to become the Adonis version of themselves. Sure. In this case, Marsai Martin from Blackish. Diane from Blackish grows up to become Regina Hall from the Scary Movie movies, except sort of very glam and sexified, and she's had a blowout, as we are told 6 or 7 times in this movie. And
that doesn't mean what you think it means, Van.
Apparently it doesn't. I have no idea what it means. I'm just told over and over she had a blowout. Anyway, and she's not a nice person. So she was bullied in school for her intellect. Basically, she was a child genius. And the idea was she was bullied for it. She, because that one of those kids who just can't let people be, just has to prod everyone for no reason kind of thing. That happened, and her parents tell her, when you don't worry about it, when you grow up, you'll be the boss, and nobody bullies the boss. So she literally says, no, you're right, the boss can bully them. So what do you think happens when she's grown?
She's a very empathetic person.
If you've seen the trailer, you know how this goes. So she wakes up one morning having been cursed by a little girl with a magic wand and told, I wish you were little, boo. Because she sarcastically calls her boo. So it's a nice moment, actually. She wakes up one morning, this multi-millionaire tech mogul woman, in her own 13-year-old body. So 13 going on 30, literally in reverse.
Yeah.
Here's a clip.
Any parent or guardian of a child during the ages of mandatory attendance shall send such child to public school, private school, or a homeschooling program.
Say what now?
Say what now is enroll this child in school or somebody is going to jail. That's what now. Say what.
By somebody, do you mean?
You. That would be you. Now, enroll her there today, and I will be checking that you do so.
No. Look here, lady. I am a businesswoman, and I have a company to run.
She sells Girl Scout cookies. She just takes it really seriously. I'm like...
So I don't have time for child services, and I sure don't have time for school, okay?
Let me be clear. I will have you in foster care and your goofy aunt over here in jail if you don't. Oh, crrr.
Did I hear Rachel Dratch?
You did hear Rachel Dratch. Funny thing about Rachel Dratch in there. Rachel Dratch appears dressed like a maniac.
That's Rachel Dratch.
Right. No, that's not. That's just every person in this movie.
Oh.
For some reason that is never explained. It's acknowledged, but it's never explained. Everybody dresses like a sociopath. There is a moment in this movie when she's obviously in her little form, in her 13-year-old body, in which she's in her own company. She's like visiting her assistant, Issa Rae, you heard in the clip. Issa Rae from Awkward, I think it is, and Widows. And someone joking said, this is in the trailer, joking says, like, oh, who let the little girl in the pink pantsuit in here? And you start thinking, oh, that's odd, is it? The pink pantsuit is odd, is it? Nothing else that anyone wears in this movie is out of the ordinary. We comment on it all the time, but that's odd. Okay, fair enough. If you can go along with that sort of a logic, this is a good movie. This is a perfectly good time. I mean, it's not a good movie. It's a pretty terrible movie, but it's a good time. It is. It's the Hellboy equation again, where you know you're watching a dumpster fire, but it's actually pretty fun.
And sometimes you need a dumpster fire.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just want to toast marshmallows over a dumpster fire, and that's literally what this is. It's fun. There's obviously stuff that's been sort of chopped out of it. You can see the lingering scissor marks every now and again. There's a bit with Justin Hartley from This Is Us, who I think of still to this day as the Green Arrow, as her teacher. And you'll have seen this bit in the trailer in which she's actually sent to a school and she gets the sexified sex object, buff hunk of a teacher, and it's the Green Arrow from Smallville. and he's because I don't know about you, but my teachers didn't go to work in jeans and a nice cashmere sweater.
Not generally, no.
Not generally.
More of a chignon bun and a kilt.
Yeah, I mean, I went to school in the 90s, so pretty much everyone just dressed like Lisa Loeb, but... Miss Williams in physics, my favourite lesson. Anyway.
You digress.
I don't know. Do you know the best part? Her first name was Robin. But,
nice.
Yeah, I literally had a physics teacher named Robin Williams. Nice. And she was a smoke show. Looked like Samantha Mathis. Anyway. Moving on, because I'm really keeping this 90s, aren't I? Which is also, I think, when she was a kid in Little, actually. That was like 88 or 90 or something. But the stuff like that where you get the teacher, where you can tell that there's a lot been removed.
Right.
And they have the whole thing where it's a little girl like hitting on an adult man and he has to just diffuse the situation. And it's dealt with quite well, but you do feel like there's a lot of stuff that came after that they've just removed.
Sure.
My thing with it, I do come away from it and I do sit and think maybe I have an issue, I think, that has to do with media exposure, which is I've watched half a decade of Blackish. Mm-hmm. I know that Marsai Martin is this person.
Yes.
Right, from junkets, from interviews, from the existence of half a decade of Blackish, I know that just is Marsai Martin. Uh-huh. She is now officially the youngest producer in the history of Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
At 14.
Oh, good for
She
you.
has produced this movie. And she was on The Daily Show, I think, talking about it last week as well. And you do watch, for instance, the interview on The Daily Show, and you just think, you just are this person, aren't you? You are Diane, and you are this character from Little.
Yeah.
That's just you. And I love the fact that this youngest ever producer in Hollywood has basically launched a vehicle for herself.
Well, that's what you do when you're a badass.
Yeah, it's a vehicle that sells her just being herself, which it turns out is just kind of a smartass. Fine. Loved it.
Oh,
She's great fun. There's Tone Bell I had a lot of fun with as well, who's sort of the, I'm just going to say friend with benefits as the polite version.
Nice.
Who keeps breaking into this apartment that only a little girl is living in.
Creepy.
And it comes close to being hilariously inappropriate, but they nicely diffuse that as well. Issa Rae as the put-upon assistant. Very fun. I mean, it's like, say, it's a garbage movie. It's one of those movies where the put-upon assistant, like Devil Wears Prada-style assistant, lives in an apartment the size of an aircraft hangar.
Yeah, of course.
You or I would murder someone to live in an apartment that size. But the downtrodden assistant just has that as standard.
You gots to.
That kind of a movie. But I had fun with it. I thought, actually, the jokes work. The atmosphere, the tone of it lands. It doesn't make a lick of sense if you stop and look at it, but it's a body swap movie. Why would it? It's vice versa. It's 13 going on 30. It's literally a reverse Big.
Yeah.
In the style of What Men Want, which hilariously starred Taraji P. Henson, and there's a gag in this about Cookie from Empire, but let's not go there. Anyway, I just had a good time. In fact, it has the security guard from Good Girls in it as well. And the minute I saw it, I looked with my pad right now, oh, it's the security guy from Good Girls! Yay! But I liked it. I liked it very much. I had a good time with it. Would I watch it again? Probably. to be honest. If it's on Sky Cinema, if it's on Netflix, yeah, I'd watch it.
I can imagine it going on Netflix.
Yeah,
I
can absolutely. That. I think you'd watch it, you'd like it, and it's a film that works in that way that something kind of like The House. It has that House Bunny thing going for it. You know,
guilty pleasure
I know
movie.
this is trash, but I like it. Like you say, guilty pleasure. Because you got me onto House Bunny.
I did, and you're welcome.
I thank you over and over because I do love me. I love it, Karenina. But seriously, every time someone tells me their name, I do that in my head.
That's how you remember it.
Exactly.
Is it your film of the week?
Is it my film of the week? Little is... I don't know, to be really honest. I think...
I'm surprised you're even considering that.
Academically, mid-90s is the film of the week. Mm-hmm. Right, like mid-90s is the best movie out this week. Like on a score sheet, you're going through this, you're breaking it down, like chemically. You are breaking this down to its constituent parts. Mid-90s is film of the week. However, I had a bloody good time with Hellboy. And I had a bloody good time with Little as well. So, you know what? I think you're fine this week. It's a trifecta. There's not a stinker out this week. I will say that. I don't
seem like it now.
Yeah, I don't think we've got a real stinker on our hands this week. However, if you can see The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot, please absolutely do.
Nice.
It's just damn good. It really is. But that's it. I mean, I take any of the three, really.
Take any.
Take mid-90s Hellboy Little.
Have a triple weekend. Go to the cinema. Go to the cinema a lot.
So, next week, we got some interesting stuff.
What's coming up?
And we got some less interesting stuff. And got some middling interesting stuff.
All right.
So, next week, Dragged Across Concrete.
Oh, is this Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn?
Yeah. Writer-director of Bone Tomahawk and Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Yeah.
Right, I have seen this.
That explains Vince Vaughn.
It's 3 hours. Is it 2.5 or 3 hours long? I can't remember.
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah. We've also got Greta, which is basically single white female with Isabelle Huppert and Chloe Moretz, but not in the order you think. We've also got Let There Be Light, which is a religious movie starring Kevin Sorbo.
I'm alright, thanks.
I can't wait for that. I loves me a pro-God drama with Kevin Sorbo. The last one turned out amazing and spawned 2 sequels.
Oh, yeah, so it did.
Yeah, it did.
Ugh. What else is that?
Loro, which is Paolo Sorrentino's movie about Berlusconi. You know, he of the Bunga Bunga Party fame.
Sure.
That's next week.
All right.
Jess Ennis reviewed it for Movie Marker for us this week. And I hadn't even watched the trailer, and I literally had to edit the review. And she sent it through, and I was like, oh my God, I got to see this movie. This sounds awesome.
Okay.
But we've also got Once Upon a Time in London, which shockingly does not star Craig Fairbrass. We've got Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich. Remember Puppet Master?
Yes.
Yeah, Puppet Master, coincidentally, written by S. Craig Zahler, writer-director of Dragged Across Concrete.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, next week's a bit of a dumping ground. The next 2 weeks are effectively dumping grounds.
That's because they're getting it out of the way.
Because, I don't know if you know, but there's this little indie film that Disney are putting out.
No one's heard of it,
no one's heard of it.
Move on.
I haven't spent obscene amounts of money on indie film merchandise at all. No. Red Joan is next week.
Who's she?
Red Joan be Judi Dench.
Oh.
And she's starring with, get this, Sophie Cookson. Do you know Sophie Cookson?
No.
Of course you don't. Nobody knows Sophie Cookson. Sophie Cookson's the female lead in the Kingsman movies. Remember her?
Oh.
But she didn't get any recognition because nobody cared about the female lead in the Kingsman movies.
That's why they killed her off.
That's why they killed her off nonchalantly in the second one. Steel Country, a drama starring Andrew Scott.
Okay.
Who was on something of a buzzy streak recently because he was in that TV show with the lady, remember?
No.
No?
Never heard of
Fleabag,
it.
which I think is very good, but I think people go a bit nuts over
They
that.
do. It's
They
too
go
much.
a bit nuts over
Too
Fleabag.
much.
And Wheelie.
Wheelie?
Wheelie. I know, Wheelie.
Wheelie?
Wheelie. I really mean it. Wheelie. So, Wheelie, which looks kind of like a cheap knockoff of Cars.
Yeah.
Made by a sort of no-name animation studio, and we'll see you on that one.
Yeah, rather you than me.
Anyway, all those to come and more next week off screen. Stick around the podcast extras for a review of Deal with the Universe, Moment of Cage, and some more film news. In fact, all the film news, because we've done like next to none in the show this
We're
week.
too chatty. Chatty Cathy's.
We are chatty. But so in the meanwhile, this has been a Candy Store production for Movie Marker. I've been Van Connor.
I've been Lars van Lars.
And we'll be back.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Offscreen. For more movie news, reviews, and more, visit moviemarker.co.uk.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Podcast extras, Ms. Needham. So guess
Let's
what?
do it.
We can smoke during this one. That's great. Okay, cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice. Okay, so let's have a cycle through the news. We're going to have to review Deal with the Universe in a minute as well.
Sure.
That's what I want to tell you. You know Little, right?
Yeah.
The weirdest thing, it wasn't Little, was it? It was, what film was it this week that's written by Wonder Park, that's it. Wonder Park, right, this is going to blow your mind. Wonder Park is written by, I feel silly even saying this, it's written by Josh Applebaum and Andre Nemec, right? Those are the two credited screenwriters of On Wonder Park. Now, if you ever want an exercise in sheer hilarity,
always
consider that moment. They have written Wonder Park.
Yeah.
Go through the things that those two have written together over the years.
What kind of things?
And I'm going to do these. I'll go back as far as I can, and I'll bring them up from there. So, things Josh Applebaum and Andre Nemec wrote. Fastlane, a TV series that I base a substantially terrifying amount of my life on. Alias, as well. Yeah, so they come from a very specific school of filmmaking, don't they? The American version of Life on Mars. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. What? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Zoo. And Wonder Park. They are currently at work on the TV series adaptation of High Fucking Fidelity.
Who are these people?
I know, right?
Who are they?
Hang on. No, that's them producing. Sorry, no, I'm wrong. That's them producing. Let's go through writing.
Is it crazier?
Oh, even more bonkers. Martial Law. If you remember that, it's hilarious. It was basically Rush Hour as a TV show before Rush Hour existed.
Okay.
Profiler. Remember Profiler?
No.
Ali Walker was a serial killer profiler in what would arguably become remixed as Criminal Minds years later.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Early edition.
What's that?
That starred, I think, was it Ron Livingston? It was like Quantum Leap. Every morning, this dude would get the following day's newspaper delivered to his door, and he would try and change someone's life in the way that Quantum Leap does. Anyway, Fastlane, Alias.
So they're trendsetters, you mean?
Trendsetters.
That's what
right. Also, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That wasn't on there. So they're both Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I wouldn't show off about that.
No. And two movies that have yet to be released. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
All right, I'm thinking Wonder Park. What's it going to be?
G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant.
What?
And Beverly Hills Cop 4.
What?
I shit you not. Yep.
Why did they do Wonder... Oh, all right, no, fine.
I have no explanation. But look at the John Oliver thing. You know, with Wonder Park, like, why is John Oliver in that movie? And you think, okay, his kid's 4 years old now, so maybe that's why.
Because it's secretly dark as hell. That's why.
It is secretly dark as hell. Right, on to the news.
Moving on.
Do you know, this week, Disney suddenly realised that they hadn't noticed they had bought an entire movie studio in Australia.
Oh.
That's absolutely true. Disney, without seemingly registering it to themselves, bought a movie studio in Australia. That movie studio was Fox Studios.
Huh.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox, once upon a time, went and built a goddamn movie studio in Australia. We know this because they went and filmed Star Wars movies there at one point.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that Marvel have something of a track record with Australia, having gone and filmed Thor Ragnarok there.
You know, because ... Chris Hemsworth.
Because Chris Hemsworth, but also stop and think for a second about the cast of Thor Ragnarok.
I can never say his name.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
I was going to say Tika.
No, Taika Waititi and Kate Blanchett as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I always forget. 3
of that cast are from there.
Well, producing some good folks.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, the fact that Margot Robbie doesn't show up in it, I think is mystifying. But, you know.
But thank God she doesn't.
I know. But, so, they've got this movie studio, and what are you going to do? You're Disney, you got this movie studio. It's in a tax-friendly country that give really good tax breaks to movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we went through a phase, I think about a decade ago now, where we had a lot of movies, a lot of big Hollywood movies being filmed in Australia for this exact reason.
Well, you got to give an incentive.
Oh, so Disney have decided, you know what? That Marvel movie we did in Australia, that turned out all right, didn't it?
Yeah, it was all right.
It's all right. People like it.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, enough people have pissed and moaned that didn't get nominated for an Oscar, but Infinity War did.
I think that's a fair whinge, I'm not going to lie. Infinity War's great.
Thor Ragnarok could seriously be the best Marvel movie.
Thor Ragnarok is the best Marvel movie. I will hear nothing else. It is.
Piss off, Ghost!
It is. It is the best.
You know the best part? My favourite moment, my very favourite moment in Thor Ragnarok, no one ever acknowledges.
What?
And I think it's hilarious because it's been built up for 8 years. In fact, at that point, I think it was 5 years.
What is it?
Which is that moment when, in the Gladiator ring, when Thor just gets properly messed up by the Hulk, when he just gets grabbed by the ankle and smashed against the ground.
Yeah.
And Tom Hiddleston, and you just know he improv'd it, just shoots up and goes, yes, that's how that feels. That is my favourite moment in Thor Ragnarok. And nobody ever acknowledges it, and I think that's
a good
quite...
moment, but there's so many good moments. Like, I know him from work.
Get help. I'm not doing Get Help.
I'm not doing Get Help.
Right, you know when they bring Loki back from the dead at the end of Endgame? They goddamn
fucking better
do a reference to that. They better do a, did you do Get Help? Kind of a moment in there. It's got to happen.
They got to bring it back.
So, Ryan Coogler, remember him?
I do.
Ryan Coogler, of course, brought us the tremendous Creed. He brought us a little independent film called African American Cat.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That would have made some money for that studio that owns Pixar. Anyway,
studio.
And he has he's the producer, you see, on an upcoming, long-awaited studio.
And it is long-awaited.
Studio-awaited.
I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Really?
About the whole thing.
Really? We should just tell people we are talking about Space Jam.
We're talking about Space Jam. Come on, guys.
We're talking about Space Jam
Catch up.
2. Or Two-Pace Jam, as they should call it.
Do you know the only reason that I'm actually still excited about it? Because I
Why?
don't think I love Space Jam, leave it alone. LeBron James, when he was in Trainwreck.
I know, right? He was so good, wasn't
He
he?
was so good in that.
Also, I mean, you know who's playing his wife, don't you?
No.
It's Sonequa Martin Green from Star Trek Discovery, the main actress and
Oh,
the
well,
lead from
there
Star
you
Trek
go.
Discovery. And I've got all the time in the world for that.
I do kind of think, though, like, kids these days, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like kids these days will go, who's Bugs Bunny? Don't you think?
Yeah, I do feel like that. A couple of years ago, I think it was when I first started reviewing movies, it was about 2011, thereabouts. I think in the year leading up to that, Warner Brothers started the process of short films for Looney Tunes characters.
Oh.
Do you remember this? It was round about the time of the advent of 3D. It was after Avatar made 3D a thing.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers put a sequence of short 3D animated films featuring the Looney Tunes characters. Now, I own all these films to this day.
Of course you do.
Because my favourite is the Roadrunner one. My favourite Looney Tunes character has always been the Roadrunner.
Classic.
But it's about a guy trying to kill something with tech. Of course, that's my favourite Looney
I
Tunes.
think tech is probably, a bit generous, but,
It's generous, but it's arguably what happened.
Sure.
And they did these. They were only like 3-4 minute short films. The first one I ever saw involved Sylvester and Tweety. I think it was a musical. And there's a few of these
That's
out
quite
there.
sweet.
But I do remember when those launched, thinking to myself, surely kids these days just have no idea
They don't know Looney
what
Tunes.
any of this is. If you put Pepe Le Pew on a cinema screen, nobody has a goddamn clue who
They
that
don't even know who the Animaniacs are.
Well, exactly. Well, Animaniacs is coming back, so,
Watch this space.
we're going to watch that. Because I think Spielberg's making that for Netflix.
Spielberg?
I believe, yeah. He was the producer of Animaniacs. Did you not know that? Did you not know that?
I did not know
Steven
that.
Spielberg executive produced the Animaniacs. That was his whole thing.
What?
Yeah, but let's not mince over the irony that Steven Spielberg is producing something for fucking Netflix. You know, while he's going and sucking Apple's dick.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
We digress again.
we digress.
as usual.
So, Ryan
Space Jam.
Coogler has apparently taken it upon himself to rewrite the entire script for Space Jam
I think
2.
that's quite exciting.
This news also arrives with the caveat that apparently LeBron James is having significant trouble getting co-stars for Space Jam.
Ah.
So, what was the defining thing on the human side? After Bill Murray and Michael Jordan, what was the defining thing about Space Jam?
That they got all those players that the aliens took
Exactly
over?
that. And apparently, modern basketball players are not being helpful with it. They are apparently not
Because they've
playing ball.
probably never heard of Bugs Bunny.
Well, that's it. They're all too young now to know about Space Jam. Well, Space Jam? That dude Uncle Mike starred in? That thing? Like, when I was a kid? Fuck no!
They probably also saw how terrible acting all of those basketball players were, including Michael Jordan.
Jordan was atrocious.
And we're like, do you know what? We're also terrible actors. That's why we play basketball.
Also, I don't think anyone's putting Kobe in a movie anytime soon. Is Kobe even still playing now?
I don't know.
But I remember the original because I was a big Knicks fan at the time. And I remember they got like Pat Ewing and people like that in, and I was just really big into
But
it.
I love Space Jam. I need to rewatch Space Jam.
I do need to rewatch, but I've not seen Space Jam since it came out. I mean, Space Jam came out so long ago. So long ago, we had a goddamn Warner Brothers store in Meadowhall at the time.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Remember
I loved that store.
Remember that?
I used to go in the rocket ship.
Did you buy the oversized Friends coffee mug?
Of course.
Of course you did. I did. Everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just what you did with the Warner Brothers store. And I remember, I would love it if that existed now.
I know.
Can you imagine all the DC shit you could buy?
Yeah, well, I
mean, I remember they had some
maybe
like,
Shazam stuff.
They had like Batman the Animated Series stuff, if I remember correctly, way back when. Remember like pointy chin, DC AU Batman?
Yeah.
Back when it was an AU, not an EU. But
well.
Anyway,
So Space Jam's a thing. It's
So
got a
Space
good
Jam's a thing.
writer.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the most recent wonderful trailer that came out
Yeah.
that has caused a bit of controversy, and I totally get it.
Okay.
The Lion King.
Right, how has it caused controversy? I'm not sure about this.
Because Scar looks a mess. Honestly, people are angry, and I get it. Because Scar, he's the baddie or whatever, but he is still kind of this cool-looking lion. They've just turned him into the rattiest-looking lion you'll ever come across.
I'm sorry, but I have something of the Bohemian Rhapsody problem with The Lion King.
Go on.
And it's not The Lion King's fault, right? It's not like Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's not your fault, Lion King.
Bohemian Rhapsody was all its own fault, right?
It was Brian May's fault.
Yes, Brian May and anyone named Brian was a dick to that movie.
We don't talk about the other
We
Brian.
don't talk about the other one, but anyone named Brian was a dick to Bohemian Rhapsody. That's basically how it worked. By the way, remind me, I've got a thing about Spielberg and Netflix in a minute.
Right.
But with Lion King, let's be really, really honest for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Were he still alive, there is not a chance on this fucking planet Alan Rickman wouldn't have been Scar.
Oh, it's so true.
In a heartbeat, Alan Rickman would have been Scar. He would have been the first person they phoned. They would have thrown money at Alan Rickman to get him to be Scar.
They would have, and it would have been amazing. Casting.
And it would have been epic, wouldn't it?
Would have, yeah.
And there would have been many, many people on this earth, my own partner included, just pressing their ear up to the speaker with every line he said, just having a good physical time. It's a shame. It's like Bohemian Rhapsody. When you saw that first trailer, it's like, yeah, it looks fine and everything, but this, we know going into this that this is not the best version we could have had. And in the case of Lion King, we know it's not the film's fault. We do.
No, I know that, but he does look a mess. But however, they're meant to be realistic looking lions.
So, the thing I didn't get to, by the way, the reason those basketball players won't appear in Space Jam.
Oh, okay.
It's hilarious.
We're going back to Space Jam. It's important.
Oh, it's hilarious. The
Go
reason
on.
he's back. Right. Right. The Space Jam franchise, as it were. Right. It includes a certain brand attachment.
Okay.
Yeah. That brand attachment is inherited because of Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay.
So it happens to involve a very specific tick logo.
I wonder what it could be.
Yeah. Problem with that is the basketball players they keep approaching all have exclusive marketing contracts. They're not allowed to be associated with other brands.
Well, then stop approaching them.
Well, no, that's the issue. Pretty much all basketball players have exclusive merchandising contracts. So Under Armour, Adidas, brands like that have specific contracts with people like Stephen Curry, with people like Kevin Durant, where they just can't. They can't be associated with anything else. They can't be shot. They can't have a picture shot of them next to a bus advert for another brand. They damn sure can't be in a movie
It's a hard life.
effectively paid for by the rival. That's the reason on that one.
It's a hard life.
It is a hard not life. Have you seen Titans?
No.
Right. Titans, I'm going to prepare you. I'm going to say something that you're not going to expect. Right, Titans is a TV show. It's made for the new streaming service that DC and Warner Bros. Have launched. DC Universe, it's
Another
called.
one.
I know. If
There's not room in my 3. You know, you've only got room for 3.
Well, that's the statistical thing, isn't it? 3,
exactly.
They also run Doom Patrol on this network. They're creating DC-based TV shows exclusively for this platform. So Swamp Thing is coming up.
Oh, jeez.
Who's the female hero that's coming up? Stargirl, I think, is coming up as well. We've got a bunch of these things coming up. Doom Patrol and Titans are the 2 that are currently out there in the world.
Right.
Both are actually quite good.
Oh, Titans is the one where it's Robin, right?
Robin.
Yeah.
It is literally the one where Robin curb stamps a
Where
dude.
he's like, fuck Batman.
Fuck Batman. He curb stomps a dude and then said, fuck Batman.
Yeah.
And he's the kid who's Orlando Bloom's kid in Pirates 9 or whatever it is. Yeah, Gods of Egypt.
Gods of Egypt
Gods
guy.
of Egypt,
I can never remember his name.
They've cast Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
For Titans.
Who is it?
Yeah, brace yourself, because I don't think any of us saw this casting coming.
Okay, so it's not Gabriel Marked.
It's not Gabriel Marked. What is wrong with you, Hollywood? Gabriel Marked is just sitting there, waiting to be used.
Growing older by the day.
He is as well.
He is.
Seen Suits lately.
Still looks hot, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's bangable, I suppose, but he's past his prime. You ever see him in that, is it Spin City episode where he has the long hair and he's naked?
No.
Oh, yeah, one of the early Spin City
It's
episodes.
on the list.
Add that to your watch list.
So who's Batman?
Ian Glenn.
Ian Glenn?
Sir Jorah Mormont.
Ian Glenn
from Game of Thrones.
Back my comment about Gabriel Marked getting on in age. What on earth?
I know, right? So a 57-year-old Scottish actor is Bruce Wayne for Titans.
Like maybe he's Alfred.
Well, having said that, Alfred. No, Alfred hasn't physically been in Titans, but he's been mentioned. I think at one point Robin phones him and asks for like an apartment or a car or something. He actually does. He gets resources from Alfred because he doesn't talk to Bruce. The whole thing is that Robin and Batman have fallen out.
But they still share a butler. That's sweet.
They share a butler.
That's sweet.
And Robin has a Porsche that he inherited from Bruce Wayne. So,
that's what you do from your friends.
That's what we do, yeah, of course. But Ian Glenn is not the first person to join the second season of Titans as well. They have also got a Superboy. Superboy. So what's his name? Cal Kent? I think. I confuse my mythology, but Cal Kent, I think, is his name. It was Connor Kent. Connor Kent is Superboy. Sorry. Isai Morales from that Battlestar Galactica prequel series, Caprica.
No idea.
He's going to be Deathstroke, apparently. And we're going to have Deathstroke's kids as well. So clearly Arrow counts for shit.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I just thought Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne is
that is very strange. That is the strangest casting I've heard of lately.
So there is an actor who has scored a role in Black Widow.
Okay.
You won't know his name, but when you see him, you'll be like, oh, that guy.
Okay.
He's that guy from that thing. Right. His name is Oti Fagbeni.
Oh, from The Handmaid's Tale.
You've got that up on your screen.
I literally have it on my screen in front of me. But I had you for a good 3 seconds.
You really did. But, I mean, have you taken a look at that cast lately?
No, I haven't.
Right. So obviously,
I'm not that interested.
Obviously, ScarJo. You know, you have to have
Obviously.
ScarJo. Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh?
Florence Pugh. Yeah.
Didn't you predict this?
Uh-huh. And Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, Angelina's joining the Eternals. And while we're on the subject of Marvel, can we just talk about what, for me personally, is the greatest goddamn news in the film world ever?
Go on.
Kumail's joining Marvel, yo.
Is he?
Kumail Nanjiani is in talks for Eternals.
Nice.
Oh my god, that made me... I was so happy when I heard that. It happened as well. The news broke about an hour after the Stuber trailer went online. You know, this movie's done with Batista.
No.
Kumail, they literally aired this trailer on Sunday night during the ad break for WrestleMania when Dave Batista fought Triple H. Batista retired from the WWE straight after the fight
finally.
because he lost. And, well, don't forget,
Did something go over his head?
Batista is the second highest grossing WWE actor.
After who? I couldn't possibly think. John Cena.
Bret the Hitman Hart. Have you seen the John Oliver WWE thing?
No.
Oh, just YouTube it, honestly. John Oliver went after the WWE.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay, now I'm interested. I thought you meant he was doing something with them.
John Oliver didn't. No, not just the WWE. John Oliver specifically went after Vince McMahon.
Well, somebody has to.
And he got some serious support from wrestlers.
Ooh.
This was in the week running
Gossip.
up to the WWE. He had quite a few wrestlers get in touch through Twitter, etc., expressing their support. People who weren't so much banner names anymore, obviously, but yeah. I won't tell you the context of the thing he did, but it was pretty decent. It was pretty good.
I need to Google that then.
WWE responded by inviting John Oliver to WrestleMania. I don't know if he actually went or not. I would imagine maybe not, because it's on a Sunday night and he records, I think does he record at 7 or 8 p.m. on a Sunday?
You're such a dork.
Where do you think I was going when I was in New York?
Dork.
Anyway. Oh no, really, I was big on audience shows when I was in New York. But the only thing I didn't do was The Tonight Show, because I can't fucking stand Jimmy Fallon.
Who can, Dan? Who can?
Jimmy Fallon is the only answer to that.
I don't even think... Look in his eyes.
Do you think he looks in the mirror and just says, God, you suck?
I think he does, genuinely.
Do you remember when the whole joke was that Jimmy Fallon was terrible?
Yes.
The whole joke was that Jimmy Fallon was terrible. And he just kept failing upwards, and we just let it happen.
Yeah, bless him.
I've been on the NBC studio tour. They love Jimmy Fallon. But
no one else does.
Anyway, O.T. Bentley has joined Black Widow. That's the point of that story.
Can we discuss something a little bit, like, it's funny, it shouldn't be, but it's kind of funny?
Okay, what is it?
So, remember the woman from Desperate Housewives, Felicity Huffman?
Yes, Felicity Huffman. She's not the one that's currently going down for college.
That's the
bribes.
one.
Yeah.
It just so happens that she did have a comedy coming out on Netflix.
You shitting me?
What do you think they've done with that?
I would imagine giving it a much bigger marketing budget and some new trailers.
I think the official term is it's been delayed.
Why? Meanwhile, Aunt Becky's got a goddamn series on there.
Well, indeed. But I just thought that was kind of funny.
So. I'm just going to confess something, by the way, about the whole college admissions scandal thing. Which is,
Well, you're also guilty.
No. I'm genuinely gonna admit this straight off the bat. Lori Loughlin.
Yeah.
Who is, embroiled within the... Mm-hmm. She's clearly go to prison. Well, she won't actually go to prison because no one goes to prison for white-collar crime.
She's white.
Yeah, she's white and rich. She's not going to prison.
Rich white.
Lori Loughlin, to me, in the 1990s, was just the sexiest woman in the universe. And do you know what? I'm not going to lie. Probably still is.
She still looks good.
She just has that Cindy Crawford quality to her. Also, incidentally, once played Black Canary for DC.
Oh.
Bet you didn't know that, did you?
Well, no, I didn't. But to be fair, I don't care for the DC.
Nobody cares for the DC universe. DC fans don't care for the DC universe. They just keep fucking lying to us about it. But anyway, back to film news. Ken Jeong has got a new job.
Oh, what's he doing? Is he a doctor again?
Well, no, he's not a doctor again. He's an actual doctor, isn't he, Ken Jeong?
That's what I'm saying.
He's an actual MD, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ken Jeong and Kirstie Clemens, who you might remember from the Nick Offerman indie dramedy.
What was that called? Do you know, I was trying to remember that the other day with that horrible line
what was
in
it called? Hearts Beat Loud? Was it Hearts Beat Loud?
Was it?
I think it was Hearts Beat Loud. Hearts Beat Loud, I think. I'm not IMDb. Hearts Beat Loud. It was Hearts Beat Loud. Yes, it was.
Your mind's crazy, man.
My brain works. That's good.
Anyway.
What's Ken Jeong, Kirstie Clemens from Hearts Beat Loud, who I believe is still officially cast to play Iris West in Flashpoint, a movie Warner Brothers are clearly making at some point, despite losing their star and writer and director. Anyway, all that stuff. But Kirstie Clemens, Ken Jeong, they have been cast in an animated film. Mm-hmm. It is called Scoob.
Scoob. What's Scoob?
Scoob's the animated Scooby-Doo movie, yo. Oh, yes. I love me some Scooby-Doo, you know this.
I know you do.
But, yeah. Ken Jeong is going to play a robot dog named Dynomutt Dog Wonder.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good.
And Kiersey Clemens will be Dee Dee Sykes. She's one of Captain Caveman's people. Captain Caveman is going to be in the movie as well, apparently.
Oh, for God's sake.
Do you know who's playing... I mean, we've mentioned it once or twice, I think. This movie is coming out in cinemas May 15th next year.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who is playing the Mystery Inc. team?
No. I feel like as soon as you say it, I do know. But no, I can't remember.
Shall I go in sort of reverse order of how cool this is?
Yes, please.
Right, in reverse order. Frank Welker is going to be Scoob.
Who?
Frank Welker, who voiced Optimus Prime and every animated character.
Yeah.
Captain Caveman will be Tracy Morgan.
Ugh.
Gina Rodriguez will be Velma.
All right.
Which I have an issue with that I'll get to in a moment. It's not an issue, it's just a sort of weird, why do you keep doing this random thing?
Mm-hmm.
Will Forte from The Last Man on Earth.
Yes.
He's going to be Shaggy.
Sure.
Amanda Seyfried will be Daphne.
That's it.
Do you know who's voicing Fred?
Oh, as soon as you say it, I know it. Who is it?
I'm going to be really honest. If you did this in a live-action movie, I wouldn't care what the rest of the movie was. You'd have my money for this.
All right, who is it?
Who plays Fred?
Oh, it's really bugging me because I do know.
Zac Efron.
That's it. I was going to say it's Zac Efron. Damn it. I should have said it.
Zac bloody Efron.
I should have said it.
It's Fred. I mean, really. The other thing is, right, Gina Rodriguez being Velma. Right. It's not that I don't have any objection to it or anything. It's just, I just find it odd. Why, when they keep doing Scooby-Doo things, like ever since post-James Gunn, ever since the James Gunn movies, why is Velma always Hispanic?
I don't know.
It's there's no reason she shouldn't be. It's just, when did that get decided? Because the last version prior to this of Velma was Linda Cardellini.
Yeah.
Which is one of my things. But
I know.
I have a big... You've seen who I date.
I know.
But, yeah, again, like I saw that Daphne and Velma movie about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
The one where Daphne and Velma are in high school and they fight zombies. And she was Hispanic in that as well. And it was just a random choice. It's like, okay, there's no reason you shouldn't, but it's just, why have you particularly made Velma?
Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Just a real coincidence. But, yeah. Okay, so Scooby-Doo movie coming. Right, I watched a documentary about 2 weeks ago. It was called The Inventor. And it was directed by one of my favourite documentary makers, Alex Gibney, who directed Going Clear, the Scientology story. Directed that movie about, what's his name? Lying bastard cyclist. Lance Armstrong.
Oh.
You knew who I meant.
It should have been called that.
Lying bastard cyclist.
Everyone would know who it's about.
Right. So, the story of The Inventor, if you're not familiar with this, is Elizabeth Holmes, who was, I think, the world's most successful female entrepreneur at one point, or something like that. Oh. She was a young woman who had invented a new blood screening technology. We were all going to have medical scanning devices in our house.
Ooh.
Right, we were going to be able to take nano amounts of our blood, pop them into something the size of a pill, pop it in this machine, and this one machine would tell us everything we need to know about our health. There was one slight problem. It was all bullshit.
Oh.
It was absolutely all bullshit. Right? She had fabricated everything.
I have heard of this.
You have heard of this. Now, here's the reason you'll be hearing about it a lot. We've got a movie version of that coming up from the director of Vice and The Big Short, Adam McKay. Have a get, and I mean, this has been around for a while, so you may well know who's playing her.
No, I don't.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Excellent.
Have you ever seen the woman?
No.
Have you ever seen Elizabeth Holmes?
Oh, show her to me.
Right, Elizabeth Holmes is, I mean, I'm not going to deny that on a sort of psychotic level, I am kind of weirdly attracted to Elizabeth Holmes, but that's just because I'm attracted to nutters. Right, so Elizabeth Holmes, genuinely, this is Elizabeth Holmes.
Wow, that's good casting.
Yeah, it's good casting, isn't it? You'd get Jennifer Lawrence to play her, wouldn't you?
Casting.
Right.
She looks like Steve Jobs of women.
That's intentional.
Oh.
She did that specifically.
Oh.
She actually modelled herself on Steve Jobs. It comes up in the documentary.
Wow.
The documentary doesn't doesn't feature much contemporary stuff on Elizabeth Holmes. It kind of stops about a year or so in our past. But do watch it. It's a fascinating story. The Adam McKay documentary, I can't wait for. I can't wait to see Jennifer Lawrence play her. She puts on a fake voice. I don't know if you know this. Elizabeth Holmes would put on an unnecessarily... I sound like I'm going like Us.
You sounded more like Eddie Redmayne.
Oh no! I thought I was going Lupita in Us.
You went more Eddie Redmayne.
When you vacation, I sleep in a cage.
It was Eddie Redmayne through and through, Van. I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, hang on. So there's a short hot skip and a jump between I create life and once upon a time. I need to see Us again.
Yeah,
that was such a
I'll
good
go see it
movie.
with you. I was into it.
My mum watched Get Out for the first time the other day.
Did she like it?
She loved it.
Oh, well,
Because I told her about Us and I showed her the trailer. She's like, that looks brilliant. She's like, but what's this Get Out thing? They keep putting Get Out, like Get Out's written all over it. I'm like,
Did you have to take a moment? Just like, what? My own mother.
My mum doesn't pay attention to anything I got
Don't hit her, she's your mother.
Hey, if my family paid attention to literally a third of the things I'd say, they'd be cinematic experts. But they don't, and they are not.
They don't.
So, anyway, the whole thing with the Elizabeth Holmes story. Right, on top of Jennifer Lawrence playing for an Adam McKay film, we're also getting a TV version. I say TV, streaming, from Hulu. And it is, it's going to be called The Dropout. It's going to be between 6 and 10 episodes. Oh, that's it. Sorry, she's the world's youngest self-made female billionaire. That was her title.
Well, now that's Kylie Jenner, so move along.
Who do you think could play Elizabeth Holmes after?
On TV.
On Jennifer Lawrence. After Jennifer Lawrence. So you've already got Jennifer Lawrence. Who could you get for an alternative?
The chick from
You're probably gonna
Happy
guess it.
Death Day.
Oh, no, but that's good. That's good. That's good. Oh, I love her too. No. I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you announce who it is as I show you this picture.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep. You remember her
Sure,
name, right?
she's too old.
Oh, I don't know. It's Kate McKinnon.
It's Kate McKinnon. Sorry, again. This is not a visual medium. I keep forgetting.
And, that was the name of the company, sorry. Theranos. Which was, I believe, a portmanteau of therapy and diagnosis. I believe that's it. So she's combined those two words, something Theranos, I believe.
Theranos.
The device, I think, was called Sherlock.
Very
snazzy. It was
snazzy.
either Sherlock or Holmes, I forget. But honestly, you've got to watch the documentary. It is messed up.
I'm still a bit thrown by that casting. I feel like that's a leap.
I don't know. Oh, wow. Okay. Because obviously when we're doing this, I always pull the news from Digital Spy. I love the fact that they have written it as I said it. The problem was, it was a lie. There you go. But, the Adam McKay one, have a guess what the title is? I love the title, even.
No idea.
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Oh, that wrote itself.
Oh, it did, didn't it?
It did.
And if you don't get that Taylor Swift song, I mean, why even
What
try?
kind of world are we living in?
You ain't even
Dan?
trying, dog. I mean,
What kind of world?
yeah, exactly.
You just put that in Google and it comes straight up.
Exactly. Right, do you remember Fan Bingbing?
Fan Bingbing, indeed.
Fan Bingbing?
Yes.
Sister of Fan Chang Chang, I believe.
Is that real?
That is absolutely real.
You're not doing a Lars von Lars to me.
No, that her brother's name was Fan Chang Chang.
Excellent.
Well, he is Fan Chang Chang. Anyway.
I was going to say, is he dead?
Do you remember that she was taken down for massive tax evasion?
Yes, I do.
Right, she's back.
Because she disappeared, didn't she?
She vanished.
She literally vanished.
She actually vanished. She's back. She's got a film project. She'd already committed to it before.
She's paid her
Scandal.
taxes.
And she's back. It's called 355.
Oh, it's a spy movie.
Spy thriller.
Yeah.
Lupita's in it.
Excellent.
Lupita Nyong'o, Penelope Cruz, Marion Cotillard, Jessica Chastain.
Ooh, this is like a Widows type casting.
And directed by Simon Kinberg, who's making his feature debut with X-Men Dark Phoenix, which also stars Jessica Chastain, and which also is the latest chapter of a series in which Fan Bingbing had starred.
Oh, indeed.
Sure. She played Blink
They all keep it all related in Hollywood.
She played Blink in Days of Future Past, which you, of course, know because we attended that screening together at the BFI.
And you spilt your drink all over me.
I spilt my drink all over you, and you pissed off a gentleman sat in front of us who
so I did.
told us off, and I believe the quote was, "On behalf of everyone ever."
Oh, yes!
What a prick. And I say that as someone who got punched during a Fast and Furious screening, so...
We have fun.
We have very interesting lives. So yes, spy movie, fan bing bing. Yeah, I don't know. Kerry Fukunaka.
Would you call me?
Kerry Fukunaka, who made True Detective, first season True Detective, is making the new. Has he written or is he directing? He's involved with the new Bond movie. Mm-hmm. He's going to make a TV series adaptation of Last of the Mohicans.
All right.
Yeah. Interesting choice.
No one asked for it. Speaking of no one asked for it, have you heard what Paramount's doing?
Oh, dear God.
It's probably worse than you even think.
Hang on, because they're really climbing over themselves to try and find a goddamn franchise these days.
Oh.
Is it a franchise?
Speaking of.
It's a franchise, isn't it?
It's a prequel to Grease.
Oh, no. No. What's the prequel going to be?
It's about how Sandy and Danny met.
I bloody knew it.
Of course it is. What else is it going to be?
So hang on a minute. So the entire premise... Actually, it's Grease, so this kind of fits. So the entire premise of their movie is going to be young John Travolta goes on holiday, meets young Olivia Newton-John...
Hits it.
Yeah, lies to her to hit that...
Hits
and then
and quits
that's
it.
the end. Yeah, hits and quits.
Yeah. That's the movie.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's just reality.
Well, someone needed a job, clearly. I can't even...
Right.
No.
Genuine question. How much money do you think they've thrown at Zac Efron?
What?
For a Grease prequel.
Oh.
How much money, seriously, do you think they have thrown at Zac Efron?
A lot of money.
Because you would, wouldn't you?
A lot of money.
You would throw every dollar.
I'm hoping that he's too grown up now to accept it.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
hoping. Because do you know what this is going to turn into? This is going to turn into that Dirty Dancing remake.
You knew you were going there.
That's what this is going to turn into.
Right. Just to explain this, about a year ago, Kelly and I both watched the American TV movie remake of Dirty Dancing starring Abigail Breslin.
Abigail Breslin. What's her name from Nicole Scherzinger, her from Will and Grace.
Deborah Messing. I believe the dad was Captain Pike from Star Trek, wasn't he? Bruce Greenwood.
Bruce Greenwood.
And we're forgetting Sarah Hyland.
Who could forget Sarah Hyland?
I will never forget Sarah Hyland. She's lovely. But
if you haven't watched it, you have to watch it immediately. It is the most hilarious, ridiculous, pointless, cringe-inducing thing. And I must have watched it about 10 times.
Really?
Not even kidding you. I put it on. Do you know when I'm feeling sad, I will put that film on because that will cheer me right up. What is that? That's exactly what this Grease prequel is going to be.
That's it, isn't it?
That's what it's going to be.
It's funny enough. Before you said that, I was literally thinking after the Zefron comment. But before you said that, I was literally thinking to myself, knowing our luck, they're going to get that fucker from the Dirty Dancing movie.
Yes. Notice we haven't said his name because
no one
who was he?
No one knows who he was.
Apparently he's a real dancer.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, he didn't demonstrate it.
Apparently he was quite a high profile, like backup dancer kind of guy.
Well, backup being the
those guys that like tour with J-Lo and shit. But
he was Left Shark.
Well, yeah, that kind of thing. but yeah, I mean, a Grease prequel. I mean, yeah,
it's unnecessary. We
really...
didn't need the sequel. Let's be honest.
No, I mean,
Michelle Pfeiffer, love you, but we didn't need it.
Gilmode likes it, but no one else does.
It's a guilty pleasure movie, but it's not good.
No, it's not. Also, I mean, I'm just genuinely dreading it. I'm sorry, you can't get the Grease fan base back in a cinema for a prequel. You won't do it.
No.
It won't happen.
I don't think so.
And you know, on concept alone, that's going to be terrible.
It is.
Right. You also know, I mean, realistically, when it happens, it's going to bomb. It's going to get bad reviews. It's going to bomb. It could be the greatest film in the world. The adulation for Grease is too much.
It is.
It's too iconic.
Because also, Grease was an accidental hit.
Yeah.
It was accidental. They didn't mean to do it. It shouldn't have happened. It's not going to happen again. And that is my final word, Van. Shall we make a deal with the universe?
Oh, God, yeah, we've not reviewed that, have we? Oh, crap, I forgot about that. So, A Deal with the Universe, which I'm going to pull up on IMDb, because I'll be really honest, I don't remember a whole heap about it, other than the parts I didn't like.
We are professional, I swear.
Yeah, we are. So, A Deal with the Universe is a documentary by Jason Barber. Jason Barker, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Barber, I'm thinking of Nick Barber, my friend, the critic. Right, it is officially listed as an autobiographical documentary. By Jason Barber. Barber, bloody hell. Right, the idea is you've got a gay female couple, Jason Barker, and his partner. He has transitioned, obviously, that's how this works. But as he was transitioning, and I think is it roughly 2003, I think we're told at one point, as he's transitioning, his partner is diagnosed with cancer.
Oh.
And undergoes treatment. Mm-hmm. He then, but one of the big things that they've had is they want to have a kid. Right. They've got sperm from a friend, male friend, and the idea is they're going to implant it into Jason's partner.
Yeah.
Exactly. However, the cancer kind of removes that possibility from them.
Oh.
Because her cancer treatment basically sees her going through early menopause. Like the result is effectively early menopause.
Nice.
So
this is sad
it's
already.
Completely out of the question. Jason then makes a decision of his own, which is, well, I'm a fair way through this transition, but not all the way.
Ah.
Yeah. So why don't we... Yeah, here's a clip.
The only thing, as I was saying to you, Trace, is that I was on the tube and I was coming home this evening and I had a kind of feeling in my belly of something saying, hello. And she was a bit more than that, if I was to elaborate.
Oh God, it's definitely your child then, isn't it?
No, I just had a feeling of something saying...
It's definitely got your genes.
No, I was feeling
It was yabbing. As soon as the bloody conception's happening, it's going...
Now, it's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously has to be personal, for the material. But I know there is an amazing story in there. You can't deny that story, as I've just pitched you. Like you just said, that's emotional. That's moving. That's a proper story. Yes, it is a great story. It's not a great documentary. It isn't. Jason Barker has made the documentary entirely himself. And for me, the entire thing is set up. Like, the entire thing is set up. Like, I don't think the actual pregnancy starts to become a thing until I think about like 20 minutes before the end. And it goes on. And I had issues. I think people can wear out their welcome very, very quickly. And I think Jason Barker does that here.
Yeah.
I think Jason Barker's general personality, I think, is more charming to him than it is to really anyone else. We get shown a lot of footage, for instance, of his stand-up work.
Oh.
And it's not great.
Self-indulgent.
There is that to it. You do kind of feel with this one that... I do feel that if you removed the zeitgeisty of our time relevance of this, this wouldn't get a look in. At all. If this were just a straight standard pregnancy documentary, you wouldn't. Obviously it wouldn't, but because there'd be nothing remarkable about it. But
it's a miracle, but it's one that.
I did come away from this thinking that story is genuinely terrific, and I would love to watch a narrative version of this. I'd love to watch a movie based on this story.
Yeah.
But I feel like the documentary is too self-indulgent. It's too whiny. It's nauseating at times how self-indulgent it can become. And the clip we played, for instance, in which you hear, I think it's Tracy's partner's name, like Tracy saying, "Oh, it's definitely your kid," things like that. Jason himself has clearly no depth with that.
I have to say,
no perception.
Yeah, that clip, it did sound a bit like a conversation you'd overhear at a party.
Yeah. The idea is Tracy's obviously very jokey and very aware that he goes on a bit. He clearly is not. He's someone who loves himself very much.
Jason.
And I came away from the documentary thinking that kind of defined it for me. It kind of defined, like, I just wish you'd been a slightly more likeable person.
You'd think, he's got this story to tell, Why is somebody else not telling it for him?
You do sit and think, like, you like I say about the narrative thing, like this clearly an amazing narrative film is, and I won't be surprised.
Maybe
if that
that's what he's going for, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, if this is all a pitch for a narrative film down the line, this thing will be a goddamn Oscar winner.
Yeah.
And, you know, you show me that movie, I'm there with bells on, because I like the story. And I'll be honest with you, going into it, because I knew the concept. I knew, you know, transitioning female to male, going to be pregnant. That's the documentary.
I'm guessing that if I saw a picture of him, I'd recognise him.
Probably not, actually. I mean,
really?
I don't know. I didn't.
I'm going to Google.
So, I mean, yeah, you'll absolutely spoil the documentary if you do, but...
I can't imagine I'm going to watch it. You're not selling it that well.
No, I do think, though, you'll watch this documentary, you will feel... I think you'll feel pretty much in line with me, to be honest. You do think, great story, wish someone slightly more engaging had told it. He does not clearly have much in the way of... what do you call it? Self-realization.
Yeah.
There's no real self-perspective.
No self-awareness.
Yeah. And I found that problematic. But,
Speaking of self-awareness, can we talk about the state of cinema screenings?
We've been building to this, haven't we?
We've been building to this.
This is you and Dumbo, isn't it?
This is me and Dumbo. So the reason that I couldn't express an opinion on Dumbo is that, quite frankly, I didn't get to watch the damn thing.
Okay.
Seriously.
This was your screening experience.
It was my screening. I went to Cineworld in Sheffield, you know, great cinema. But it was ironic to me that I was watching a film about a circus, given the state of that screening. This was a 7:50 p.m. screening of Dumbo. There was a small child of 2 years old with a balloon on a stick on the front row, waving it around. There were 14-year-olds wrestling on their seats. And just the piece de resistance was the band of 40-odd-year-old women, about 5 of them on their Saturday night out, who were literally commentating the entire film. Like, what was it that you mentioned earlier? Ian McShane, who would basically, something would happen, and then he would explain what you've just seen. That's exactly what they were doing. So Colin Farrell walks out with one arm. He's just come from the wall. It says right at the beginning of the movie, oh, no, bless him. He's only got one arm. Like, oh, look, he's got big ears. Oh, he's tripping over them. He's tripping over his ears because they're so big. Like, ridiculous. What is going on, Cineworld? What is going on?
I told a woman off for doing that in a screening years ago, and when the film was over, it was a talker screening. It was one of those show film first kind of deals. Paul Haggis's next 3 days. And after the film, one of the 2 women told me, "You really are the rudest young man." And I was
on behalf of everyone, everywhere.
And my response was, "And you're fucking old enough to know better."
It's true. I'm sorry. Like, cinema is expensive enough these days. You buy a ticket because you want to go and watch a film in the dark, in the quiet. Like, respect it.
It's funny you say that about the cinema's expensive enough. When we saw Dumbo, because we had the family outing for Dumbo, where I took my cousins, the twins, I took Maya, my sister, and her husband, and their kid, who is 5 months old. And this was his first proper press show experience. It was on a Sunday morning, and it was at
first of many.
It was the Odeon Leicester Square.
Nice.
Which has been done up recently.
They still got the leopard print seats.
Nope.
I'm out.
Oh no, it's Odeon Lux now.
Oh.
And the tickets are about 45 quid a seat.
What?
Yeah, it's about 45 quid to see. I remember it was Mary Poppins. It launched with Mary Poppins.
That's outrageous.
So, and 42, I think. It was 42 quid to see Mary Poppins.
That is outrageous.
So yeah, that's how much a cinema costs in central London now.
So if you've paid that, whether you've paid 42 quid or you've paid £12.50,
if I paid 42 quid
it is,
and you fuck around in that cinema, I will cut you.
Yes. I mean, the women behind me and the kids in front of me, they were treating it like they were sat on the sofa with each other watching this film, which is like, if that's the experience that you want, if you want to sit and chat about it, don't come to the cinema to watch it.
Do you remember years ago, Wilson and I went to see Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Last Stand?
Which, remind me what that is.
That was the one where he's the sheriff and there's a fugitive coming his way.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in the cinema with a clamshell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I remember this. It was like a proper old school clamshell phone. And he kept taking it out and texting, and we told him off. And this was in a screening at 10 in the morning. And his excuse was, my daughter's in intensive care.
Why are you watching a movie?
That was our response. Why are you here then?
What an idiot! There's no excuse for it. Like
I know you want to kill time, but goddamn.
Honestly, it's just ridiculous. And I know that it's kind of this product of, the cinemas, they're making apparently less money, even though they're charging about 500 quid for some popcorn. So they have like one member of staff to go around the whole place.
Years ago, there was a whole legal quandary for about a week, I think, where cinemas toyed with introducing phone jammers.
Ooh, well, I'd be down for that.
They didn't do it because I believe that one of the legal departments
It's probably infringing on human rights or
That's
something.
Apparently, it is a violation of human rights. Like, as defined by the United Nations, it is apparently a violation of human rights. But I'm not telling people they should. I'm just simply going to say, you can buy them on eBay. Just put it out there. About 40 quid, actually. You can, if you were so inclined, buy them on eBay.
Well, do you know what? If you're going to sit there on your phone throughout the whole thing, right, I'm going to ask nicely, this is just a request, sit on the goddamn back row.
There was a film years ago, I forget, a couple of years ago, and there was a dude sat in front of me, and he was texting through this movie.
Yeah.
And he was blatantly trying to pick up this girl who he's talking to. It's obvious that he'd been sort of friend-zoned.
So you could tell
I could actually read every message, and I just started following it as like a subplot to the movie I was watching. Where I just had the secondary storyline. And at one point, he'd been doing it so that I literally leant over and went, "Dude, she ain't biting, bro." I'm like, seriously.
This is it. Humiliate them. This is the way to deal with it.
I love humiliating kids in cinemas. Love it. It's my favourite thing. There was a dude shopping during a screening of On Her Secret Service years ago.
I'm a cinema shusher, and people who are with me get ashamed of me, but I have to do it. I can't help it.
There was a dude sat with his dad during a cult classic screening of On Her Majesty, and he was on some clothing site, and I literally shouted, "It's going to look shit on you! Put it away!"
So that's our new tactic. We're going to start this trend of humiliating the phone users. Interact with them.
Seriously. Because, you have the absolute right. If they're putting the screen up in front of you, you're there to watch something on a screen.
And why is their screen always on full brightness, man?
It's never dimmed down, is it?
It's never dimmed down.
I know, motherfuckers. I know.
Yeah, I'm just like, how can you be, much like Jason Barker or whatever his name was, how can you be this unself-aware?
Ugh.
Idiots. All of them. Anyway, that's my rant. And I'm sick of it.
And mine too. You know what? I'm going to call that a week. In which case...
we did a good job this week.
We did a pretty good job. I think there's only one way to finish it though. You want to do it?
Here it is. Your moment of cage.
Sometimes you're a dragon, sometimes you're a bunny.